The receipt tore under my thumb. Not all the way. Just enough to split at the fold. I flattened it before the customer noticed. He had one of those office voices that sounded polite right up until it didn't, and a blue company badge clipped to his belt like a tiny medal. He pushed the blender across the counter. No box. No receipt. Grease on the buttons. It says online I can return it, he said. Online also says within 30 days, I said. This was bought in February. He blinked. That can't be right. I turned the screen toward him, not enough for him to read it, just enough to make him feel behind. It is. People like him thought knowledge lived in laptops and clean offices. I could tell which customer would scream before they reached the counter. I knew who was lying, who was lonely, who wanted sympathy more than money back. Those were skills. Behind me, Tyler locked the second register. Tyler was 24 and already assistant floor manager, which meant he wore a headset and said, "Circle back," without shame. "You're a lifesaver, Lacey," he said. "I don't know how you keep all this policy stuff straight." Useful. Outside, the parking lot shone with recent rain. The mall sat half dead around me, all papered windows and missing letters. When I was 17, this place still breathed. Girls from my shift smoked behind the loading dock and talked about Chicago, Phoenix, anywhere with a skyline big enough to swallow a person. My first employee badge was still in my glove compartment. I kept it because that was the last year I felt ahead of my life instead of dragged behind it. I cut through the east corridor toward the garage and stopped. The old Carson furniture space was lit. Not mall lit. Clean lit. Fresh paint. Glass walls. White lettering across the entrance. Bridge Lab. Future skills for working adults. Inside the window, a poster showed a smiling group in hard hats and business casual. Evan stood in the middle, sleeves rolled neatly, calm little smile, like somebody had assembled him to make parents sleep at night. Mom stood beside him, proud in that soft startled way happiness caught her. Dad stood straighter than usual. Rows of new computers filled the old showroom. The employee break room wall was gone. I could still see the vending machines, the cracked microwave, myself at 17 counting my first paycheck beside a sink that smelled like bleach and burnt popcorn, thinking, see? I made it without school. Now Evan had turned the whole place into a classroom. My phone was already in my hand. One picture. Then another. The sign. The tables. His name printed under community advisor. Something pressed against the back of my throat. Not anger yet. The thing underneath. I went back the next morning before my shift. The side doors stood open while contractors wheeled in desks. Drywall dust hung in the air, mixed with new coffee. A woman in a neon vest glanced up. "You here for orientation?" I almost laughed. Instead I photographed the sign and table. Free digital access for working adults. Lace? Evan came from the back carrying a box of cables. No suit. Jeans and a dark sweater. If he had looked rich, I could have hated him cleanly. "You could have told me," I said. "I did. Mom mentioned it 2 weeks ago." "That's not telling me. That's slipping propaganda into meatloaf conversation." A contractor snorted. Evan ignored it. He always ignored the performance and answered the sentence underneath. "We're offering free classes," he said. "Resume help, basic software, online applications. Stuff people need now." People. Not us. Where the break room had been, slim monitors glowed blue on white tables. Somebody had painted over the patch where the vending machines once stood. I took another picture. "You're photographing folding chairs?" "I'm documenting displacement." Lace. There it was. That careful voice, calm enough to make me sound unstable before I had raised mine. He set the cables down. "We're doing community sessions after opening week. Real workplace experience matters too. You'd be good talking about customer situations." For a second, something inside me shifted. Not because he pitied me. Because he sounded sincere. That made it worse. A printed badge sat on the welcome desk. Lacey Warren, Retail Communications Guest Speaker. Already made. Already decided. A tiny chair at his table. You want me to stand up here so everyone can clap for the hard-working retail woman while you teach them how to escape becoming her? Evan stared at me. That's not what this is. No, I said. You just learned better words for it. I walked out. In the glass doors, my reflection crossed behind the white Bridge Lab letters and vanished piece by piece. Mom overcooked pork chops when she was nervous. Evan arrived with bakery bread in a paper bag, and she lit up the second she saw him, automatic as a porch light. It smells good, he said. It's pork chops, I said. Not a candle. Dad came in late from the plant and sat without taking off his work jacket. Mom made it 3 bites before saying, "We drove by the center today. It looks beautiful already." Beautiful. Not practical. Not useful. Beautiful. Evan nodded. First classes are almost full. For computer stuff, I said. For jobs, he said. Dad cut his meat. Same thing now. The room tightened around me. What happens to people who don't want their lives turned into passwords and training modules? Nobody's forcing anyone, Evan said. No. You just build classrooms inside places where people used to work and call it help. Mom said my name softly. That break room mattered, I said. It was a storage space with 2 broken microwaves, Evan said. I laughed once. Educated people always thought facts erased meaning. It mattered because nobody in those rooms asked where you went to school. Dad rubbed his forehead. Honey, he's trying to make something useful. For who? For people trying to move forward, Evan said. Move forward. Meaning some of us had not. The doorbell rang before he could take it back. Uncle Ray walked in with a 6-pack, looked around, and said, "Seems I missed the opening gunfire." Uncle Ray listened while Mom explained too gently and Dad stared at his plate. Then he pointed his beer at me. So your brother helped build a free training center, and somehow we're at DEFCON 1. It isn't free. People pay with dignity. Identity. The message that everything they know is obsolete. That sounded rehearsed. Evan looked down, but I caught the corner of his mouth move. Heat climbed my neck. Uncle Ray pulled out a chair. What do you want instead? A real community space. What does that mean? For actual workers. He waited. That was the worst thing about Uncle Ray. He never rescued anyone from silence. A place where people aren't treated like failures if they don't code. Nobody's teaching coding classes, Evan said. It starts there. No, Uncle Ray said. That's where you jump because specifics are harder. The room went still. I felt the floor slip under me, not enough to fall, but enough to hear the drop. So I pushed back. This is why people stop talking. The second somebody without credentials says they feel erased, everyone demands a business proposal. Anger isn't a blueprint, Uncle Ray said. Mom stepped in, voice already tilting toward me. She's saying people like Lacey get overlooked. People like Lacey. Like I was a category now. Evan spoke quietly. She shouldn't feel overlooked. Mom looked grateful. That did it, him handing out recognition like ration cards. I stood. You all keep acting like the place belongs to him already. Uncle Ray leaned back. What would make you feel respected? For one stupid second, I almost answered. I wanted Mom to look at me the way she looked at Evan in that poster. Instead I put my phone in my pocket. You wouldn't get it, I said. Kendra chose the diner across from the mall because she said nobody judged you in booths with cracked vinyl. That was not true. People judged everywhere. Some places just smelled more like coffee while they did it. She had dropped out junior year and now bounced between salons and delivery apps. Luke came with a tape measure clipped to his belt. Mara arrived in scrubs from the assisted living center, damp from the rain and quiet. From our booth, Bridge Lab glowed through the window. Kendra nodded toward it. So what's the deal? They're calling it workforce development. Luke snorted. Fake phrase. It means they take spaces built by regular workers and turn them into retraining labs so everyone can learn how obsolete they are. Mara frowned. I thought it was free classes. It is. That's how this works now. Smile while you tell people their lives need correcting. Kendra leaned in. Exactly. That quick. People were starving to hear humiliation described back to them. The old break room mattered, I said. Nobody cared about credentials there. You survived your shift, shared fries, complained about managers. One of the only places left where nobody had to audition for dignity. Luke tapped the table harder with every sentence. Mara looked uncertain. You know what replaced it? I asked. Glass walls. Laptops. A sign that literally says future skills. Like everyone before them was prehistoric. Mara said, some people probably need help with computer stuff. I turned gently. Not attacking. Never first. Of course. That's not the point. What is? I thought of Evan under clean lights, Mom looking at him like he had built civilization. The point is who gets treated like the future belongs to them. Nobody spoke. Not because I had solved anything. Because I had given the feeling a shape. Kendra made the page before the fries arrived. Reclaim the break room. Community before credentials. My first post went up from her phone. This used to be a break room for people who kept this mall alive. Now they're turning it into another space that teaches working people they were never good enough. Mara looked up. That's not exactly what they're doing. No, I said. It's what it feels like. The comments appeared. Finally someone said it. My dad worked that mall 30 years. They always want to retrain us instead of respect us. Each one hit like a hand against my back. Proof, not that I was right, necessarily, but that I wasn't alone. I pulled a notebook from my bag and uncapped my red pen. Bridge Lab. I circled it hard enough to dent the next page. Displacement. Degree culture. Worker erasure. Luke watched like I was drafting battle plans. Mara watched like she still hoped this could become something kind. My phone buzzed. Evan. Saw the page. Can we talk before this gets weird? Before. Like it wasn't already. By Saturday, Luke had a folding table outside the mall and a banner with Reclaim the Break Room slanting downhill because he had run out of space. Kendra said it looked real. What she meant was struggling. People trusted struggling. Mara brought coffee nobody drank. Then Sam and Claire arrived with cameras. Local documentary couple. Black coats. Calm eyes that noticed too much. Sam asked, who started the movement? Movement. The word slid through me warm as whiskey. Kendra pointed. Lacey did. I should have corrected her. Instead I straightened my jacket. We're trying to protect spaces for real workers. Claire lifted her camera. What does that mean? It means people are tired of being told they're outdated unless they learn whatever corporations need this year. I gestured toward Bridge Lab. That place used to belong to the workers who kept this mall alive. Now it's a pipeline teaching them they failed. People slowed. Not many. Enough. Mara stepped close and said, my mom worked here 20 years. I think people just don't want to feel thrown away. Small. Human. True. For one dangerous second, I almost left it there. Then Kendra whispered, talk about the break room. So I did. By evening, the live stream had 8,000 views. Enough for strangers to call me brave while I sat cross-legged on my childhood bed eating gas station pretzels under a peeling poster from 2009. Mom knocked once and opened the door. You're all over Facebook, she said. Not angry. Almost impressed. I don't want this getting ugly. It was already ugly. You just liked the polite version. You know Evan wasn't trying to hurt you. Mom, he built a future skills lab in the one place people like me felt competent. You are competent. Another mercy sentence. I reached for my notebook before she could see my face change. Who gets called the future? I underlined it twice. When you talk like this, she said, it sounds like you think your brother stole something from you. I looked up too fast. That was the thing nobody was supposed to say directly. He did. Lacey. He got to leave. He got applauded for leaving. I stayed here, and suddenly that makes me the cautionary tale. Downstairs, Dad's television murmured through the vents. Nobody thinks you're a failure, Mom said. Not failure. Just useful. Just still here. My phone buzzed. Evan again. You're turning this into something it doesn't need to be. Then. People are listening to you now. Please don't make them angrier than they already are. I read that line 3 times. People are listening to you now. Kendra came the next morning with a ring light. People donated, she said, amazed, like money through a phone was weather. We set up in the garage. Dad's tool bench behind us. Luke said it looked authentic. Mara arrived late and stopped in the driveway. What's all this? Content, Kendra said. Sam and Claire came too. Sam carried his camera like he didn't trust where this was heading but wanted proof. Mara looked from the light to the banner. Some comments are getting intense. Somebody posted Evan's LinkedIn. Silence. Luke said, public information. There it was, the first crack. Fear never entered loudly. It came as hesitation before the slogan. This isn't about attacking Evan personally, I said. Just incomplete. Sam lifted his camera. What do you actually want Bridge Lab to change? Online, nobody asked for specifics. They asked for emotion with good lighting. We want workers represented before decisions get made over their heads. That's broad. Kendra snapped, why are we interrogating her like city council? A movement sounded powerful. A plan could fail. So when Kendra counted down, I gave the audience what moved best. A villain. The stream peaked when I said Evan's name. You have people who spend years serving customers, training hires, solving real human problems every day, and suddenly somebody with a proposal and a computer lab gets to redefine their future. Comments flooded. Halfway through, he messaged. Can you stop turning me into a symbol for 5 minutes and just talk to me? Kendra saw my face. Is that him? He's worried. Good, Luke said. Claire moved closer. You don't have to check comments before you finish sentences. The words hit hard enough that I almost looked away. Instead I smiled. That sounds like something a documentarian says before adding sad piano music. We kept going. Luke measured the square footage of the old break room live and called the renovation spatial displacement. The phrase exploded. By nightfall, somebody had made it a hashtag. I should have felt ridiculous. Instead I felt taller. I grabbed a marker and wrote the next meeting time on poster board. Community Assembly, Tuesday, 7 p.m. We will not be retrained into disappearing. Mara read it twice, then looked at me with something too close to concern. The assembly filled half the old Union Hall. Half was plenty. Kendra ran check-in. Luke sold shirts from a plastic tote. Real work still matters, black letters on gray cotton. Suggested donation, $25. I told myself money made things possible, printing, room rental, gas, flyers. A movement needed infrastructure. That was not greed. That was logistics. Mara stood near the coffee urn with a speech I had edited in red pen. Not lies. Shape. Her first version wandered, her mother losing hours, a supervisor laughing at her for needing help with an online portal, Mara feeling stupid in front of a screen. Good material, bad order. Start with the supervisor, I told her. Then your mom. Then say Bridge Lab could help only if workers lead it. Mara frowned. This doesn't sound like me. It sounds like you without apologizing. When she spoke, her voice shook exactly where I knew it would. A woman in the second row cried. Kendra filmed the tears, not the woman's face, which made it tasteful. Afterward, Sam asked to see our budget. I laughed. For the documentary? For the story. Uncle Ray appeared beside him, arms crossed. Good question. I felt the room tilt. It's a community fund, I said. For what? Uncle Ray asked. Outreach. Space. Materials. Receipts. The red pen in my pocket pressed against my thigh. I thought of the ring light, the shirts, the new boots I had bought because standing on concrete for live streams tore up my knees. Movement costs. Optics mattered. Kendra stepped in. Why are you policing working-class people over pennies? Uncle Ray looked at her, then at me. $1,500 is pennies? Silence fell around the number. So he had been looking. This is what always happens, I said. The second workers build something, somebody demands paperwork before dignity. Paperwork keeps money from becoming a private wallet, Uncle Ray said. I turned toward Claire's blinking camera, toward the only place where silence could still be beaten. They want us small, I said. Accountable to systems that never accounted for us. Kendra clapped. Luke followed. The room caught up because rooms often do. Uncle Ray watched me over the noise. He did not look angry. Worse. He looked sad in a way that did not ask to be used. 2 days later, Evan asked me to meet at a coffee shop far from the mall. Neutral ground, he texted. He had ordered coffee for both of us. Mine black, which was wrong. I used too much creamer, and he had known that once, when we were kids eating cereal from the box after Mom's late shifts. I didn't know what you drink now, he said. That should not have hurt. He slid a folder across the table. Bridge Lab Community Sessions. Retail Conflict to Escalation, Lacey Warren. Assisted Living Intake Support, Mara Alvarez. Worker-led office hours. My name was there, clean and official. Not a pity badge this time. A page. A schedule. A room reserved. For 1 second, all the noise thinned. There it was. A door. You get paid a stipend, Evan said. You can design the session. No one's asking you to endorse anything. 13 years of swallowing insults and reading faces, turned into a line item. Useful. But different. Maybe. I should have asked before printing the first badge, he said. I'm sorry. He apologized too easily. What about reclaim the break room? We can talk to them. Mara's session is in there too. You went around me. I talked to Mara because she has ideas. She has ideas because I made space for her. You also changed her speech. My fingers tightened on the folder. You don't understand what people need to be heard. Maybe not, he said. But I know when someone is being used. There it was, finally. The accusation with its sleeves rolled up. I closed the folder. You want to absorb us. Turn us into a cute little panel. Make the angry workers behave. I want you to stop before you hurt people who trusted you. The cafe hummed around us. He lowered his voice. Lace, if this is about me. I laughed too loud. That's your favorite fantasy, isn't it? That everything is personal because you're so important. He did not flinch. Then prove it isn't. Come Thursday. Say what you actually think. Help build something. Building meant permits, boards, shared credit, slow rooms where people asked for budgets and outcomes. Building meant a chance to fail where everyone could see. Fighting only needed an enemy. I stood with the folder. Evan looked tired. You don't have to keep making me the villain. I wanted to say, then stop standing where the light is. Instead I said, you don't get to script my dignity. In the parking lot, Kendra waited in her car. I had told her not to come in. She had come anyway. I handed her the folder. She read it. Her mouth tightened. Tokenism. The word arrived exactly when I needed it. Yes, I said, but my voice came out thin. I tore the folder in half. The rip went crooked through my name. Kendra smiled with relief. That night, Claire sent a message asking to interview me alone. I ignored it. Then she sent a still image from footage I had forgotten she had. Me in the garage, ring light bright on my face, saying to Mara, start crying after you say your mother's hours got cut. That's where people understand the stakes. Below it, Claire wrote. We need to talk about context. Context. A word people used when the raw thing looked bad. I called Kendra and Luke. Emergency meeting. No cameras. Mara did not come. Kendra said, post first. Say Bridge Lab supporters are manipulating footage. Luke paced my parents' basement, tape measure slapping his thigh. We protest the permit meeting. Big. Force them to delay. Force. Delay. Good words. Solid. Mom came downstairs with laundry and stopped at the posters spread across the floor. You're still doing this? Thursday is the permit meeting. She saw the torn folder on the table. I had taped one half together. My name was visible, split through the middle. Evan said he offered you a class. Kendra rolled her eyes. A managed platform. Mom did not look at her. She looked at me. He offered you a place. A place. I picked up the red marker. A leash can look like a place if you decorate it. Mom's face changed. Not anger. Something closing. I gave you money for printing, she said. $300. For outreach. And the ring light? My hand stopped. Carol Warren asked whether you had eaten, whether your coat was warm. She did not ask where money went. Dad stood behind her on the stairs. I had not heard him come down. Lacey, he said, after Thursday, you're bringing us every receipt. My throat tightened. So now I'm stealing? Nobody answered quickly enough. That was the answer. At the permit meeting, I wore the gray reclaimed shirt, black jeans, and boots that made me taller. Evan sat with Mara, not with Mom and Dad. Kendra squeezed my arm. We've got you. Sam and Claire stood near the aisle with their cameras down. Down was worse than up. When public comment opened, I walked to the microphone with my notebook in one hand and my old employee badge in the other. I had found it in the glove compartment that morning, my 17-year-old face faded blue at the edges. This, I said, holding it up, used to open a door in that mall. Not a fancy door. A break room door. A room where people who kept the place alive could sit for 10 minutes without being told they needed fixing. Good opening. The room listened. Bridge Lab wants you to believe it is charity. It is not. It is a machine that turns working people into students forever, always behind, always grateful, always measured by standards we didn't choose. A few claps. Kendra started them, but others joined. Then Claire stepped into the aisle. Before the board votes, she said, voice clear but shaking at the edges, we need to submit material relevant to public fundraising around this opposition campaign. My stomach dropped so cleanly it felt practiced. Sam connected a laptop to the projector. The screen filled with my face in Dad's garage. Start crying after you say your mother's hours got cut. That's where people understand the stakes. A murmur moved through the room. Next clip, Kendra counting donations while I said, put the ring light under outreach. People don't trust a movement that looks cheap. Then Luke, do we have numbers on how many workers oppose it? My voice, numbers don't matter if the image is right. Mara looked down at her hands. The final clip showed the Union Hall after Uncle Ray asked for receipts. I didn't know Claire had still been recording. They want paperwork because paperwork is where people like us go to disappear. If they want clean books, they can fund their own hero. Dad stood slowly. Mom stayed seated, both hands over her mouth. Uncle Ray came forward with a folder. Copies of donation records. Shirt sales. Screenshots. Charges that looked small alone and ugly together. Boots. Ring light. Makeup. 2 dinners marked community planning. Cash withdrawals. I wanted to say movement costs. Optics. Context. The board chair asked, Ms. Warren, would you like to respond? I looked at Evan. For once, he did not look calm. He looked hurt, which was worse, because hurt did not give me anything to fight. He stood from his seat. Lace, he said. Do you want to stop? The room waited. There it was. Not forgiveness. Not victory. A narrow door, still open somehow. All I had to do was step through and become smaller. Admit the pain was real and what I had done with it was not. Admit I wanted the room because his name was on the wall. Admit I had called my hunger justice because hunger by itself sounded poor. My hand closed around the old badge until the plastic edge cut my palm. Then I saw Mom's face, wrecked and still searching mine for someone she could hold. I could have given her that person. I didn't. I turned back to the microphone. This is how it works, I said, and my voice came out steady. The academic charity machine cannot answer working people, so it attacks the woman who gave them language. It edits private organizing footage. It criminalizes survival. It turns every receipt into a moral trial while millions move through grant offices nobody in this room will ever see. Kendra clapped once. Only once. No one followed. I kept going anyway. Once you start drowning, motion feels like swimming. They can take clips. They can take rooms. They can take my name and drag it through their clean little process. But they cannot take the truth that workers are tired of being managed into gratitude. The board chair thanked me. Thanked me. Like I had been a weather delay. The permit passed 20 minutes later. Bridge Lab opened the next Monday. Not as planned. Better, apparently. Mara's intake support session filled first. Then a class on customer conflict, led by a woman from the grocery union who had never met me. Worker-led office hours stayed in the program. Evan's name was still on the wall, but smaller than the logo. People called that compromise. I called it theft with manners. At home, Dad put a cardboard box outside my bedroom door. Receipts, he said. Repayment plan, he said. 30 days, he said. Mom stood behind him, crying quietly, but she did not step around him to touch me. That was when I understood I had lost the oldest audience I had. Not their love. Love was stubborn and stupid. But their willingness to bend reality around me. Kendra stopped answering after the clip spread. Luke posted once about messy leadership and deleted the page by dinner. Claire asked for a final comment. I blocked her. Evan sent one message. I hope you get okay someday. No argument. No defense. No opening I could pry into. I packed 2 duffel bags and left before the 30 days were up. On the way out of town, I stopped at the mall. Bridge Lab was open. Older men squinted at screens. A woman in scrubs helped another woman fill out a form. A teenager showed a gray-haired man how to attach a file to an email. Nobody looked rescued. Nobody looked erased. The glass doors slid open for a man carrying coffee, then closed. In my pocket, my old employee badge pressed against my fingers. I pulled it out and held it to the scanner beside the door. Nothing. Not even a red blink. The badge was too old. The system had changed. The door did not know me. For a second, the corridor went quiet. No slogans. No comments. No camera light. Just my faded 17-year-old face under cloudy plastic, smiling like the future had made a promise. I put the badge back in my pocket. Then I took a picture of the door. By the time I reached the highway, I had already written the post. They can take the room, but they can't take what happened there. I did not send it right away. I let the word sit on the screen while Ohio flattened out behind me, gray and wet and familiar. For almost 10 miles, I drove without touching my phone. Then the silence got too large. I hit post.